What is DNS? The question this time at seniorgeek.net. Domain Name System is what DNS stands for. You may have seen DNS and the word server together here and there. The DNS server acts like an enormous telephone book. This is an analogy I've been using to describe how the internet essentially transposes words that we use to navigate to a website into what is more familiar to it, and that is a series of numbers. All right, so when you type, for example, facebook.com into your web browser, whether it be Chrome or Firefox or whatever it is, immediately when you press enter or click go, this information is sent to a DNS server not too far from where you are on the web. And this DNS server, again, acting like it's consulting one big white pages phone book, transposes facebook.com into a series of numbers. This is an IP address. I ask you to check my other segments on IP addresses and on domains in order to understand things a little bit better. And this is, by the way, an IP address that corresponds to facebook.com in my part of the world. Okay, so when you click on that, it will take you to facebook.com and go through that whole DNS lookup in the blink of an eye. So this is completely transparent to you. You don't see the IP address appear up there. It stays at facebook.com and your lovely website appears. Okay? Now, these DNS servers are all over the place. Here is a list, and you may wish to visit this website on your own if you're curious. This is located at public-dns.info. As you can see, by the way, the top-level domain, and again, please see my segment on domains, is .info, which is a relatively new top-level domain, or a relatively new suffix, as I call them, for clarity in web addresses. But I digress. This is a list, a partial list, I should say, of the number of DNS servers that are available in the United States. There are more than 3,000 of them. And your internet service provider makes use of one or more of these, wherever you may be in the country, to do that DNS lookup as I just described it. Okay? Now you can see a list of DNS servers. I'll just pop over to Canada here. You'll see a much smaller number, but you'll see them across the country. There are 470 of them in this country. Windsor, Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. And you'll see, if you look at the technical information here, some familiar names. You'll see Shaw Cable, Rogers, Bell, Videotron. So these are, again, DNS servers that are pressed into service by your internet service provider. So you need not be concerned about this. What happens with these servers is every time a new website comes about, and again, I'm simplifying things here, they are updated. And DNS servers in most of the world are updated rather rapidly, within hours. So let's say I eventually launch my famous peanutsqueak.com website. It's not there right now because it doesn't exist. But the moment I launch my website, the DNS system will be advised of that, and the DNS servers in Canada and the United States and Russia and China and Hungary and Italy will all eventually be updated with the information telling them that peanutsqueak.com is alive and running, and that the server, the IP address and all the rest of it is located in such and such a location. And the first time you visit, the DNS system will know like the 1400th time you visit. So it'll be inscribed in the big white pages. So that's what a DNS server is. So once again, you need not be concerned about this because it's a transparent system. It happens, as I mentioned, in the blink of an eye. Now, should you be experiencing difficulties with your internet provider, again, this gets into technical areas that we will not get into in this particular segment. You can change your DNS servers. You can circumvent the ones or the one that your internet service provider is using, and you can go into a public DNS system, for example, like the one, of course, Google has its nose in everything. They can provide you with their own DNS server system. Okay, and you see here the IP addresses are, and again, I ask you to check my segment on IP addresses. You see how brief they are, how small they are, as it were, 8.8.8.8, 8.8.4.4. Now, changing these settings in your system at home or at the office involves fiddling with the router and things like that. Again, beyond the scope of this segment, but we will get into it eventually. If you're comfortable doing that, you may wish to look into it. Also, notice IPv4 and IPv6. Those are subjects for another segment too, all right? You can also opt for something a bit more elaborate. Now, there's a company called OpenDNS that's been around for a few years. These are not endorsements, by the way. This is simply an example of other systems that are available to you related to DNS services. OpenDNS is now a part of Cisco, which is a big networking company. And for personal purposes, you can make use of the OpenDNS system free of charge with a couple of basic plans. Now, what they add to this whole process is they filter certain addresses, certain destinations on the web. For example, their basic system, their basic plan here, again, free of charge, filters adult content. So if you have young people at home and you'd prefer that they not navigate their way to adult websites, you can install the OpenDNS system. Again, all you do is you point your equipment to their DNS addresses. Again, beyond the scope of this segment, but you can follow instructions here and pop into your router and make some changes, and make some changes in Windows as well. I'm not quite sure how this system handles this. You also have another free plan that provides more customized filtering, and there's a paid plan, of course. A yearly fee will give you many more options. So this is OpenDNS, something you might want to look into. All right? We'll have more some other time. Bye for now.